Good morning from the ridge.
Good morning.
I mean, is it still morning? I mean, I've been working all day already. I think it's still morning.
Still morning.
Okay.
It's before noon anyways.
Yeah. Well, welcome to another episode of Coffee Chat with Chickens. But the other time we were with the chickens and they just were really, really loud.
Rue's mouthy.
Yes.
And wants to be known and heard. And, well, that makes audio fun.
Yeah. But it looks like the sun may finally peek out, of course, when we actually sit on the deck to do Coffee Chat. But I think it's going to be a pretty decent day. We've struggled with a little bit of rain. Yesterday, I hit my brick wall. I've not taken a day off since the cruise. Came home, hit the ground running, been working. And I think it started pretty much with me getting up because I was freezing and I could not get warm. And I couldn't muster up energy beyond breakfast. It was nuts. It's crazy. And I wanted to do stuff. I wanted to be productive, but like my whole body was like, no, not today.
Well, it's that body reminder, right? When our mind is like, hey, we've got all this stuff to get done, but then the body steps in and says, whoa, slow down, Charlie. We're going to take a rest day. And the weather yesterday was not conducive to being outside anyways.
But there was a lot of things I needed to get done.
Yeah. We got the have-tos done, but it has. We were sitting there thinking about it as we were feeling guilty for just kind of lounging. I mean, we did make a town run and got supplies that were needed and
got the truck legal.
Yeah. So once again, I'm used to being up north still, even after like year 3 of being here, that your plates expire on your birthday. At least that's how it is in Michigan and quite a few states that I've registered vehicles in. But not
here it's just whenever
Arkansas.
You wander in.
It's, whatever. They go a year out from when you actually register it. So that's odd for me. Like, I still haven't gotten used to it. And we were sitting there the other day, I think right before we went on the cruise, actually. And I'm like, it seems like it was around this time of year last year that I was like, ooh, truck tags are expired. And went in, got them done. It wasn't a big deal, but it's just a matter of going in and doing it. And so I did look before we went on the cruise. It was like, yep, they're expired. So before we take this trip that we're leaving out for in a couple days to go to the Mid America Meetup, I figured it would probably behoove me to have legal truck plates.
Yes.
So we got that done yesterday. That was good. Went in, didn't pay the tax bill yet for the property, just because they were so busy, and she'd already like closed our account out because you have to get a personal property assessment paper from the tax assessor's office to go renew your plates. And I was like, well, just out of curiosity, what is my bill? And well, it's less than last year. And last year wasn't that much. Which just shocked me because I know that I've not seen them out here, but when I look at the photos on the county tax, site, it shows updated pictures. So they know that we've made improvements to the property.
Oh, well, yeah, because they sent us that reassessment.
Yeah.
Because they only are supposed to assess every 4 years. And it was done the year we purchased the property. And the realtor's like, yeah, you guys are going to be good for like 4 years. And then we got a updated tax assessment. I don't know whether they watch our videos or what it may be, but they recognized that we had done quite a bit of stuff, so they reassessed.
But I fully expected not a lot because as we've talked before, with my status of being a retired vet and my VA disability, we get a really good tax break here in Arkansas for property tax wise.
Oh, it's attached.
And that was honestly, it was one of our big draws of coming to Arkansas. I mean, the price of the land, the beauty of everything. And then looking at, okay, what are the benefits as a disabled veteran do I get? And Arkansas was one of the, for our situation. Now, any of you that have went and watched Big Mike and I, Sergeants Talk TV, shameless plug, every Tuesday, 8 Central, 8 p.m., we do Sergeants Talk TV and talk veteran things. And we did an episode on there about top states for retired veterans. And shockingly, Oklahoma and Arkansas didn't even make their, I think it was like the top 10 list or something. But it was based on criteria that didn't matter to us. School systems, income, what was it? Some of them were like based on income taxes and like all the things that they didn't matter to us because we weren't moving to, whether it been Arkansas or wherever, but obviously we chose Arkansas. We weren't moving here to work, not for somebody else anyways. We were moving here to work for ourselves, which pays us back in groceries. And so it was really funny. Cause I know there was like educational benefits and all these things that we're like, well, that's not what really matters to us. Like we're retired. We want to, build a homestead and do that. And, and I do remember seeing a lot of those. We watched videos based on that type of stuff.
We did a lot of research
before we moved to Arkansas. But anyways, going back, yeah, I fully expected some way, somehow for the bill to go up. Not that we've added any vehicles, because really the only thing that we're getting taxed on necessarily here in our situation is our vehicles. But
and the camper and the trailers.
Right. The camper, the trailers, the car, and the truck. And yeah, nothing of that changed. But yeah, it still went down. So I was pretty surprised.
Yeah, you come out of there just laughing.
I was just like, wow, okay. Nobody I've talked to in at least the last decade and a half has went, oh, my property taxes went down. Like that's
But it really wasn't property taxes; they were personal.
But it's a personal property. Yeah. But ours still went down, and maybe because the vehicles are a year older or something.
I think so. But speaking of groceries, we made our monthly restock yesterday. You want to see one upset person right here? I can't. I almost hate going shopping anymore because I'm so disgusted at the prices. How people do it when they're not raising and growing their own stuff. You'd go broke. I'm sure a lot of families do.
Yeah, and that's been, I mean, you can see it all over the place, right? The big discussion is the fact of the only way a lot of people, like you've got to be making really good money to be buying fresh fruits and vegetables from the store, right? So that's where they get you, is the stuff that's bad for you, all the processed, pre-made, full of just junk and garbage and chemicals. That's what you can afford. But then your health suffers for it in the same time. So
and we go about once a month and stock up, right? Mainly our stock ups include dairy. So cheeses and, all the things I need for cheese. Some months it's flour, sugar, staples like that.
But we buy those in bulk, so it's one of those that we're not having to go. Now, probably more around the holiday time. Like we may have to go twice for, like, say, your flour, because you'll be doing a lot more baking with the cakes and cookies and.
Yeah, but being able to, I don't know, I get so honked off in the grocery stores. Like I almost told him no for orange juice yesterday. $7. And it wasn't even a gallon. $7. I can't believe I'm not going to tell him no because he enjoys his orange juice. I don't drink it, but
I do.
Yeah,
I love
he
it.
does. But yeah, $7.
Yeah,
so we're going to be looking at some different options for orange juice, whether that's I buy the concentrate, keep it in the freezer, and mix it up for him. I don't know. But, and I would say minus the extra things that we purchased because we needed a few things for the meetup. Because we bought the thermosol stuff, and we had some non you needed razors and that kind of thing. So I guess if you factor in the things we purchased that weren't grocery, it wouldn't have been quite $200. But to me, that's huge. Like to think people do that every week. You guys can probably still hear Rue.
Yeah.
But having the meat, having growing, raising, I'm never more thankful that we do what we do than when I have to go to the grocery store or Walmart or wherever. We don't have a Sam's Club or a Costco anywhere close to us.
Right.
So those kind of bulk stock ups aren't really an option. But I don't even know if we would have. Honestly, the more I think about our cart, we had toilet paper.
There were things in there, like you said. I mean, the thermocells for the bug control. I mean, there were things that we only buy a few times a year, and we were at a point where we needed a restock and getting, trash bags and those types of things that a couple times, maybe once a month, once every 2-3 months, we gotta buy them.
But I feel your pain, folks. If you're having to buy groceries, holy cow. Like, it's just ridiculous. So, never more grateful. It kind of takes some of the work of growing the garden and growing the animals. Kind of takes the sting out a little bit when you reap the rewards of that.
Well, and the other thing too that we haven't really talked a lot about, if ever really on here, when you think of budgeting and stuff, we always spend a vast majority of our money when we're going somewhere at the beginning of the month, because that's when we get paid. Neither one of us have jobs that we're clocking into, so we're not getting a weekly or bi-weekly check or anything.
No, we gotta make it last.
Our money comes in at the beginning of the month, and then we've got to stretch that out. So it makes more sense in our aspect that now there's certain things, okay, we're not going to buy a whole month worth of milk and try to hope that it's going to stay good.
Yeah, we still have our weekly staples, but
yeah.
That's just if they want anything special and I don't have all the ingredients, or we need milk or things like that.
Right.
So
but that's been a different change that you don't really, I guess you don't see a lot of, especially on YouTube, right? Because a lot of people, but even then, even with YouTube, you're only getting paid once a month, and it's always a month behind. So what you make now, your check this month is actually from the month before, and it's a lot different. Like Jake was just talking about it because he had gotten some more promotion at work, and that promotion involved him it changed him from being paid once a week to every 2 weeks. And he was like, I didn't think it would make that big a difference. And yet, budgeting wise, he's like, oh yeah, that kind of changes things up, because now he has to be a little more attentive and make sure that, hey, that money that he just got in that check, albeit more because it's for 2 weeks instead of 1 week, but he has to stretch that out over 2 weeks now, and
rearranging his bills and stuff
right.
to accommodate for that. So, yeah. But yeah, so yesterday was just my brick wall day.
Yep.
And
which was fine. It was needed.
I don't think I ever got warm all day. In fact, last night when we went to bed, I still put my heating mat under me.
I was literally sweating. And I'm like, can we, because I think we've only turned the air conditioner on in the house once.
Mm-hmm. Because we're actually getting a spring this year in Arkansas.
Yeah. And it honestly, it was the day that we left for the cruise, because knowing we were leaving out later in the evening, we went ahead, got up, and got chores and stuff done. And then I went and laid back down to sleep because I knew I would be up all night while she finished getting our stuff together and doing all that. And it was trying to lay down in the middle of the day. That was a no bueno. Like, I had to fire up the air conditioner, but it hasn't come back on since. We've been able to just
open the windows,
and we're not really inside during the day. But
I think that makes me grateful that I wanted to keep as many trees, nestle ourselves.
Yeah.
Because the YouTube studio is staying nice and cool. The home, the tiny house stays nice and
yeah,
cool.
she'll go in there, y'all. She is nuts, right?
Turn the heater.
I will come from outside sweating, or even from the house, whatever. Like, I walk into the studio, and it's much cooler, even though only part of it is insulated, but it's totally in shade. And she'll have the heater going in there. She's like, I'm in a blanket on. it was insane. Like last night we went to bed and I was sweating and I'm like, can we open the big window? Well, we had the small windows open. And all of a sudden she like legitly teeth shattered, shivered. And I'm like, well, that answered my question. She buried herself under the blankets. And then she's like, ooh, wait a minute. And literally got out her heating pad and little massager thing to warm herself up more. And I was like, you keep all the blankets. I took my half and laid them on top of her.
And even when we were chilling yesterday on the, on the love seat watching YouTube videos, I have a king size quilt, a really nice handmade, beautiful, heavy quilt. I have it folded in 4s, and I had that up and around me, and
it's crazy.
I just couldn't get. I didn't have a headache, so I know I wasn't running a fever, but that's what I felt like, when you have the chills all day long. And I think it was just my body's way of saying, hey, just stop for just a hot minute, catch your breath. Because today is prep day number 1 for the Mid America. So I got to finish today's video, get that out for you guys. And then I am going to start pressing shirts and koozies and merch for, for us to take to Mid America. And yeah, the other DTF sheets with some other special things on them aren't going to be here till, what's today?
Today's Tuesday. They're supposed to be here tomorrow.
Yeah, so they'll be here tomorrow. So I'll press what I have with what I have today. And then I'll finish pressing tomorrow once the DTFs arrive. We've got some special things coming from, the bad part was, I didn't have large enough PNG files for Sergeant's Talk. So koozies are going to be it for Sergeant's Talk. The PNGs that my cat and Terry was on the road, so she sent them, but it was already, if I would have waited for those larger ones, we wouldn't have gotten the DTFs in time. And I've got a few other things for some gifts for people, so those will hopefully come tomorrow and be able to press those. But no rest for the weary, because I got to get the squatch ready. Fortunately, with Chris and Jessica being here, we'd already kind of prepped the squatch, but we got to, load food, clothes, that kind of thing. So no rest for the weary.
No.
Yesterday was it.
I've got to get we'll take the bed liner out of the truck and get the hitch back in, the 5th wheel hitch, and check all the fluids. I guess I'm going to have to try to find something to lay on because I need to get underneath and grease the front end again. And
sounds like it's probably going to be a divide and conquer
rained
scenario. And then Susan and Scott Spencer are going to be coming over.
Yeah, well, we've got Sergeant's Talk tonight, but then Scott and Susan are bringing some stuff over for us to bring to the meetup. Got some more of those veteran windows for some vets that are going to be there. And so, we'll have that. So we'll have to get those loaded in the squatch, plus be able to hang out with them for a little while.
We got to get the trikes or the e-bikes loaded.
Yeah, because we're bringing
one for Pops.
Yeah,
right?
We're going to bring the one trike. He's going to use the Moon Cool, and then we're going to bring probably just 2 of our smaller regular e-bikes. That'll be easy to get around on. Mm-hmm. So figure out the loadout plan for those.
They're probably going to have to go inside the camper.
They're going to have to. I'm just trying to think of what that looks like.
Well, I think that we should take the table and the 2 chairs out. We never sit there anyway.
Yeah.
They're cute, and we could honestly take the desk out. Well, now I'm probably going to need editing space. Because let's take So at least the table and chairs can come out. Because we're going to be sitting outside.
We can take the table and chairs out. We could probably take the desk. The only thing with the desk is we've got to figure out where it would go. Because obviously it can't sit outside.
Right. Well, it can go in the YouTube studio. That way you're not having to use the laptop on the little tray table.
Yeah, we might have to look at what that looks like. I don't know if there's room for it to fit where the tray table is. We need to build a
custom desk.
I got to build a custom desk.
That's going to be on our schedule.
Jake gave us an L-shaped one. So, and our thought was great. We can kind of make 2 workstations. No, there's only room for one. And then even when we do our lives, it kind of it crunches us in so that we can be within the angle of the camera, and both still sit there. So
We have so much stuff to do.
I think when we get back from the meetup, that's one of the things that I want to work on. Is it's going to be fairly simple. It's not like it's a big elaborate desk. It's just we got to build that countertop type deal, get it at the height we want. I think the only thing that's going to be not a challenge, but just got to make you a keyboard tray.
Yes, my hands go numb when I'm trying to edit because I'm at desk height, not a little lower. So working on a collaboration with a company of getting me a really sweet chair and tray table. Hopefully that'll pan out. I don't know if it will or not, but that would be really, really nice. But yeah, other than that, guys, we're just doing it.
Yeah, just everyday stuff right now. I mean, we've been getting it. Yesterday was nice. I know we've said it a bunch of times, but it was much needed, and we have to remind ourselves that it was okay.
You feel guilty because there's so much to
do. And there's still, I mean, every time we look around, we're like, ooh, we still got to do this, we got to do that, and they'll get done. You know, we say it all the time, right? Rome wasn't built in a day, and as much as we'd like to think that we're still 20 and have the energy that we can just go and sleep for 2 hours and get up and do it again, we're not.
The cruise taught me that I definitely, because I'd be like, I am so tired. Why am I so tired? And then it dawned on me, like, I think Tim and I were the oldest.
Yeah.
On there.
Well, Pops.
Well, yeah, besides Pops, but you know, trying to keep up with the walk-in and, you know, I mean, and I held my own, all except, you know, one time. But I definitely felt that, okay, there is a difference between being in your 30s and being in your 50s. The activity levels, energy levels, that type of thing. Yeah. Definitely
but
recognize
we're
that.
Still getting it. And it's every little bit every day that's really all you can do, right? One day at a time. And
it's making each day matter.
Yeah. And then just for us, it's the mental game of being okay with, hey, this is all we got done. When we'll wake up and we have ambitions of getting, you know, 5 things done and we get 2. And we're like, oh, but, you know, those 2 things were done really, really well. So
I'm real hard on myself when it comes to things like that.
But yeah, I think today, like you said, is going to be, you've got to finish the video. So you guys will get one out on White Rock Homestead on the main channel today. Mm-hmm. And then working up some merch and just prepping. It'll be prep day 1. We're gonna try, I know, sit down a minute. We're gonna actually try to be packed and ready and prepared to go on a trip. What? No way.
I know.
I'll believe it when I see it. Right. We're probably still gonna run around like chickens with our head cut off. Absolutely. Although I was thinking, and we talked about this for a minute, what do you guys think? So we always tell ourselves every time, right? Because there's certain things that we can't preload in the camper. You know, my CPAP or meds that we need to take that morning. We have double like toiletries and that kind of stuff, so that's not a big deal. But like your makeup and those things that, hey, they have to wait till the next morning. We can reload all the food, we can preload all the clothes, but it's those small things, right? That it's like one load. That's what we say in our brains is one load. And then we'll get up that morning that we're ready to leave and we're still loading clothes. Like it's 7 loads. It takes us 3 hours. So I've actually was thinking, like, what if we had everything hooked up, minus the truck because I have to drop the camper so low that we'd be like sleeping upside down. But have everything else in the camp and actually just sleep in the squatch that night, like Wednesday night.
And I'm good with that. That bed's way better than our bed.
And then that way we can get up in the morning, still do our morning routine in the squatch, not a big deal. And then, you know, basically like when we were leaving a campground, hey, get up, have our breakfast, have our coffee, you know, brush our teeth, take our showers, do everything we're going to do that day, and then break camp down, which doesn't take us very long, and pull out. And then we're not hauling back and forth. I don't know. I think I want to do a trial run. Because we want to leave.
I love the squatch.
Yeah, I want to try to leave fairly early-ish on Thursday because it's still, I mean, hauling the camper, it's all of a 6-hour drive for us. Which doesn't seem like a lot, right? Like normally, hey, boom, you're gonna jump in a car and go 6 hours. Yeah, you're with the way the truck drives and then pulling the camper on these roads means you can't do the speed limit. Just not.
And the roads are curvy, windy,
Yeah.
and 6 hour. you can fairly count that if the GPS says 5 hours, it's a 7 hour trip.
Yeah, we
you can
just
add 2 hours.
We add 2 hours every single time.
Everywhere you go
Mm-hmm.
in this area. Now we can usually get up north in about the GPS time minus stops, because it's more of a straight shot when you're going up north. Once you hit an interstate, boom.
Well, yeah, because when we go north,
Yeah.
we have basically 2.5 hours. The first 2.5 hours is the longest, I guess, most grueling, right? Would be because that's the tight roads, the mountains.
And it's only like 50 miles.
Yeah. And, but that is the longest, most mentally straining of trying to keep from wrecking, keep from, everything else. And then after that, then it's basically interstate. So then it's a free sailing. I could set the cruise, and the further north, the flatter it gets. So it holds it a lot better. And then we're just jamming. We stop out of boredom or fuel.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well,
we need to get to work.
Yeah, get to work. Dang it. It never works.
I've been working. What'd you have for breakfast?
Just, real simple. Biscuits and gravy. It was easy. Mm-hmm. I had no problem putting it on my fork and eating it.
Did you wash the dishes?
Of course not. There's a dishwasher.
Did you empty the dishwasher so I could load the dishwasher?
Uh-uh.
Yeah. So who hand washed the dishes?
Smurf.
It's all teamwork until it isn't, folks. All right. Well, we will catch you guys on the next one. Peace
See
out
ya.
from the ridge.